Good evening, folks.
Good evening.
Thanks for coming to the West Rockhill Board of Supervisors meeting for April 17th, 2019. Would you all rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Does anybody have any public comments on the agenda as it's presented for this evening's meeting? Seeing none, we'll proceed. Announcements, we will have executive session after this meeting to discuss real estate and some personnel issues. The next thing on the agenda is happy time, clean up prize drawing day. So, Greg,
Those are the children first. We need 2 winners from the children. Sure.
Okay, the winner is Olivia Buckman. Is Olivia here tonight?
No, they'll be here next month and we'll give them a check for $50.
Second winner is Madison Budman.
Where are they from, Don? Don, where are they from?
They're both Buckman.
Buckman and, oh, it is.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, same address.
The same address, too.
I think we need an investigation.
Yeah, there wasn't many children applications.
All right.
So, now those are the adults there.
We're taking one at the bottom, hope it's fine.
These might be the parents.
There you go.
Betsy Landis. Betsy Landis here.
Railroad utilities.
Yeah, 2 of those too.
Shane Ferris is a team captain, and Kelly Fox is the name of the young lady who won it.
Okay. We'll get them here next month for photos and their $50 check.
Okay. Congratulations, Paul. Driving up and down 309, it does make a big difference, and an opportunity to do that. I had the opportunity to participate in that for many years. It was a good exercise, a lot of benefit. Okay, next on the agenda is a consent agenda. You gentlemen have any comments or questions about the consent agenda? And if not, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it. So approved. Confirmed appointments, we have none this evening. So we're in committee reports, planning commission, Mr. Gerstein. Evening, Chris.
Good evening. All right. PC met last week. Our first applicant was Gerstein Millhaven. I'm sure you guys remember down at Keystone and State Road, the old mill. So they were in for about the 3rd time. They a couple years ago they had received zoning relief for multiple use on the property. They've got a couple different businesses they want to run there. So they came back in to try to brush things up. We ran down through the waiver requests, most of which we figured out. There was a couple things. They're coming back in, so I'm not going to get into a bunch of detail tonight. They did agree to widen Keystone Drive from State Road to past where they're going to be creating their new entrance. I guess, if you don't recall, they're bringing an entrance in from Keystone Drive, putting a bridge across Mill Creek and getting up into the property that way. So, after we had gotten through most of this, the owner decided that he didn't want to do everything at once. And he let us know that he doesn't want to do everything at once, let's put it that way. He would prefer to phase this project now to avoid putting in this entrance, doing a full-blown stormwater management. So, after some discussion, with obviously with Steve's help, we figured that phasing this project would be the best way to do it. having them do, you know, the stormwater management, whatever infrastructure needs they would need for each phase. So, and that sum it up somewhat.
Right,
It's a little complicated. So they're gonna come back with a new plan, staging their operations of building down there. Right now, they're running their line works business, and, you know, they're in full swing with that. So they do want to put an addition on as soon as possible onto their existing barn. Right now, they're operating out of a temporary office. So they want to put an addition on the barn, put an office in. They also want to put up a pole barn for storage of some of the goods that they sell and store there. So that's pretty much what happened with them. Like I said, they're gonna come back in with a new plan, a new phasing plan, and we'll take a look at that point. One of the concerns was the construction of their new entrance. Their new entrance is gonna alleviate a big problem with them entering from State Road. If you're familiar with that, it's pretty dangerous.
Yeah, but
So I don't know if any relief that they received was contingent on this new entrance
right,
to make it a little safer for them.
and they've got a permit to put the bridge across the creek, and
Yeah, they got that,
yes, they have.
Army Corner.
so that's gonna come after they put the addition onto the barn and so forth?
That's the way they want to do it, yeah.
So, Chris, looking at this from that perspective, if they put the addition on the barn, will they have more traffic coming in and out of State Road?
They didn't think so.
Okay,
They're in full swing with what they're doing right now with line works.
yeah.
They're pretty much in full swing. They just wanna build this addition to get rid of their temporary office.
Yeah.
Put this addition in for their office to make it permanent off of that barn.
If they were gonna increase the traffic, it would have.
Yeah, and that's something that needs to be looked into.
And we ask them, when they come back with their schedule, that they put some essentially date-specific goals.
Okay.
You know, not just say, we're doing this in the first phase and then we'll do the road sometime later, but we're gonna build the building and the pole barn and the entrance will be done by X, whether it's 12 months or 18 months, but give us some guideposts to consider. Because as Chris said, his initial plan is really just to improve what facilities he has now, not expand his business. And then the future work would be expanding the business.
How much of Keystone are they gonna improve or widen? Just
Well,
from their bridge?
they're gonna enter, their new entrance is, you know, basically at the bottom of the hill coming off of State Road. So we asked them to widen it just past there.
Part of it's 30 foot now coming off of State Road, but then it narrows down by the time you get to like East Coast Hoist.
Mhm.
It's not there. So we asked them to make it 30 foot wide the whole way and then overlay the road
Oh, wow.
from the intersection down.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's what we asked.
good. So
They didn't
that's,
say no.
they're defining that's where most of the traffic is gonna be, not
Yeah.
gonna be coming the other part off 309.
They expect it to come off the State Road down to, because all of their traffic now enters up off of State
Yeah,
Road, so
that's-
they expect it, they'll be coming from State Road around the corner.
Okay.
So that was it with first time Millhaven. Second applicant was Halser. They have property northeast corner of Cat Hill and 309 bypass. So if you're coming up 309, look to your right, there's a house kind of on the hillside there. They have 8.5 acres there. They want to subdivide off, create a 2-acre lot with the dwelling, the existing dwelling, create another lot behind that, and kind of behind that, for a new residence, a new structure for the homeowner to move into the new home, sell the front. Couple of challenges there. They had the septic for lot 1 would be the smaller existing lot, the lot with the existing house. The way they had the plan drawn, the septic for lot 1 was on lot 2. And they're trying desperately to keep lot 1 as a 2-acre lot for marketability. And there's some contour challenges to moving the lot lines. One of their other challenges, they have a shared driveway, which, you know, we kind of frown upon these days. to separate those driveways. It would be feasible. There'll be a little bit of trickiness with the lot lines to make everything work, to separate the lanes and get the septic onto the lot one. But it can work, it's just gonna be a little challenging, and it's gonna be an irregular lot line, so we'll have to give them a little bit of leniency there. So they were just an informal sketch, so they'll be back, you know, they came in with test boards and see what they come up with.
Right.
So that was that. The last thing, Steve presented a resolution draft for land development submission procedure. It's on your engineering report, so I'll let him talk to you guys about that, but I'll tell you that we did recommend acceptance of it,
Changing the process.
just a little bit. Yeah, and
Good, okay.
that's all I have.
Good.
Anybody else have any questions?
Nope. Did a good job, Chris,
Thank
thanks.
you, Chris.
All right.
I'll make a motion, we accept Chris's report as presented.
I'll second.
Moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it. Park and Rec report. Evening, Dave.
Hello, how's it going?
Good.
Park and Rec. All right, couple of reminders, smaller crowd, didn't think everybody's, I guess, already on the Park and Rec committee, so I guess that's probably what it is. No, just a couple of reminders, this coming Saturday, we have, Little Free Library, presentation at 8:45, just before the fishing derby, at 9 o'clock, across the street. Have a lot of fish, a lot of kids, a lot of fun, hopefully sunshine, so we're crossing our fingers for that. We got a lot of work, the last couple meetings, the next couple meetings for our, upcoming, Veterans Memorial, we were close to 25 or 30 names so far for the new plaque that we're gonna get. Movie night's coming up in August. We have September Fest, a ton of planning to do. And in regards to September Fest, I'd like to ask, the Park and Rec would like to ask the supervisors if we would be able to go out to the silent auction vendors that we usually reach out to, the sponsors that we usually reach out to a little early, so we can present to them, so we can actually hopefully get some donations in sooner and possibly have their names for the fall newsletter. If that's a problem with that, does anybody see any reason we can't do that?
I don't have a problem.
As I said before, I thought we should have been doing that for the entire
Yeah.
Yeah, it
September
kind of gives
Fest.
them a little more.
We should have done it for the entire September Fest in previous years.
Yeah.
However, I see no issue with it myself,
Okay,
would encourage it.
that sounds great. Thank you.
You need a, no, we're all good.
You're all good, we'll just put it in the minutes.
All right, thank you. I think that's all I got. We're still moving
Well,
along.
I had something. We had our first Get Fit with the Doc. It's our 5th year, starting Get Fit with the Doc, last Thursday. We had over 80 people there at the park, so it keeps getting bigger and bigger. We had a really good turnout, so.
That's great.
Suzanne was there, I was there.
She's getting food.
So, come on out and join us. It's the 2nd and 4th Thursday of every month, 5:30. And, they bring in doctors from the hospital, they bring in physical and occupational therapists. And, they talk about various subjects, and the doctors and therapists all come out and take the walk with you. And you can ask them anything you want while you're on, so you get free medical advice, okay? It's cardiologists, it's, pain management, it's all kinds of stuff. So, we had a really good turnout last Thursday, so.
When's the next one, Jeff?
The 4th Thursday.
Fourth
whatever-
Thursday?
Yeah, 4th Thursday.
25th, thank
Okay,
you.
so it's the 2nd and 4th Thursday of every month.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So, thank you, Dave.
Don't want to run?
Yeah.
I got this one.
Anybody have any questions? Dave?
No, thanks.
Okay.
Every Saturday, right?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Commission reports. Police report, I believe we got a new star.
That's me.
Good evening.
Evening. All right, this is the monthly report for March 2019. Penn Regional Police responded to 526 calls for service. Of those calls, 256 were in East Rockhill and 270 were in West Rockhill Townships. The department handled 33 traffic crashes. There were 10 crashes in East Rockhill and 23 in West Rockhill. 17 were reportable crashes and 16 were non-reportable crashes. Criminal activity, Penrith Regional Police officers responded to 3 Part 1 crimes and 33 Part 2 crimes in March, totaling 36 crimes. Part 1 crimes are also known as index crimes or violent crimes. These include homicide, sexual assault, robbery, aggravated assault, burglary, auto theft, and arson. West Rockhill reported crimes, DUI were 2 of them, possession of heroin 3, fraud cases 4, embezzlement 1, a criminal mischief, a reckless endangerment, trespass, ordinance violations 3 of them, and 2 dog law violations. In East Rockhill Township, we had an assault by firearm, a theft, 3 fraud cases, 2 criminal mischief cases, sex offense against a minor case, DUI, disorderly conduct, 4 cases of possession of marijuana, possession of heroin, harassment, ordinance violation, and dog law violation. Criminal charges for March 2019, criminal attempted homicide 1, aggravated assault 1, possession of instrument of crime 1, recklessly endangering another 1, possession of heroin 2, possession of marijuana 2, possession of drug paraphernalia 1, possession of methamphetamine 1, criminal trespass 1, public drunkenness 1. Officers conducted 193 traffic enforcement details, 36 traffic details in Old Bethlehem Pike. Officers issued 12 verbal warnings, 41 citations, 36 written warnings. Officers also conducted 237 business checks. And also last note that on April 27th of 2019 from 10 till 2, we're having drug take-back day. So we're going to have a drug take-back at the police station and one at the outpatient at Grandview Hospital. And that's from, like I said, 10 to 2.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, good. Anybody have any questions?
I have none.
Nope, I have none.
If none, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Moved in second, thank you, sir. Approved, as submitted. Joint Rectorate, Mr. Miller.
Okay, we're moving, well, I'm getting ready to go for the pool. We had decided that we had a membership committee a week ago, and we decided we're going to have a yard sale on June 29th from 8 in the morning until noon. The pool will be open, that's after the pool opens for the season, but the pool's closed in the morning, so we don't expect any overlap there, but you come out, set up your table, it's gonna be hot, sell all your goods, and then you can come over to the pool and swim, right? It's gonna be right there in the field next to the pool, so. You can also follow us now on Twitter. We're already on Facebook, and now we're also up on Twitter with holiday_pool, if anybody wants to follow us. Be a good way to keep up if you're a pool member or you wanna join the pool and learn more about it, so. Except for that, I think we're just moving ahead.
Okay,
Okay.
any questions?
Nope, I have no questions.
Okay, I'll set the motion for approval.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second, so moved, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Tax report, Suzanne.
Okay. For this month of April, I've collected annual taxes in the amount of $215,100.50. 2019 interims, $168.23. And our street light tax of $3,923.15. I do have extra hours this month of April. The last 2 weeks of the month I'm there, and it stays on your tax bill, my hours. So. And they're coming in pretty good now.
Can you figure out how to do that every month?
No, I wish I could. It's the mortgage company sending me these big payments now, so that's the
Good.
bulk right now.
It's a good month.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions, Suzanne?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay, no?
I'll make a motion, we accept Suzanne's report.
I'll second.
Moving second, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Okay, engineers report, Mr. Rose.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chairman. First time on the report is the Kratz subdivision. We have a representative here tonight. Kratz, do you have? Hold up. We have, This is the final plan, as you recall, you did, make a preliminary approval resolution previously. On the back of the final plan to address some of the final details, and I did an April 10th review correspondence.
Maybe the lights. There need one over there.
Wrong one. There you go. Good, now that moved down that way.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Bear with us, this is a fairly complex
Maybe he
layout.
knows, maybe he knows.
The page number is not.
That's the one that's in our packet, Steve? Or Greg?
Yeah, there's one sheet in.
Schlosser and Collins, it says on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I found it.
No. I'm sorry, the page numbering in the list isn't the same as the page numbers on the,
Oh, okay.
on the plan. So these are, I'm just trying to find the one that's the overall plan. No. That's good enough. So, we'll start with that. We're talking about the front of the property anyway. Yeah, that shows all the new lots. So Kurt, if you want to just give a little overview and then.
This effectively is the same plan that you guys, we discussed and you looked at with preliminary approval. Really all I did was tidy up some of the calculations and some of the details. There's no changes in the lot configuration or the house locations or any of that. I think we thoroughly went through and discussed all those items. The one thing that you guys decided to hold over until final was we are currently still requesting a waiver for road improvements, widening, curb, and sidewalk. And there was a discussion at the time that you wanted me to put a cost estimate together for those improvements, because at the time, we were suggesting a fee in lieu of the improvements, and that the improvements would not be installed, and that the applicant would contribute a fee in lieu of. And at the time, there was some discussion that you weren't so sure, and that bottom line was you wanted the price for those improvements. And I had put together that cost estimate for those improvements, and those improvements totaled $67,201. So it would still be the applicant's desire to pay a fee in lieu of installation of those improvements. We are still doing some improvement work for the new driveways, of course, so that they're safe, so that they continue to convey stormwater along the shoulder of the road. Steve has reviewed all that stuff. I believe he's satisfied with the plan as it exists. But the main loose end, I'll call it right now, is this discussion and your desire of taking the money or wanting some or all of the improvements installed instead. So I would ask the question, is the money going to be acceptable?
Okay, I have a couple questions before that. Steve, this is property is a part of the village layout plan, correct?
It's just outside the village.
Outside.
Yes.
So my question there would have been relative to future sidewalks.
And that was part of the discussion back last month and with the planning commission of, since it was close to the village area, should there be sidewalks or future the ability to install future sidewalks.
And on that note, it has been added to the plan that it's very clear on the plan that future sidewalks may or will be installed at some point at your discretion, so that there can never be a question by a future lot owner that they didn't know about sidewalks having to go in there. So it's notated on the plan at this point for future installation.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on that side of the street, it's 2 lots away from the village.
I was gonna say, I thought that was just below, from what the village was planned. That's kinda outside of it.
Yeah, it's just outside of it.
Okay.
I just wanted to.
So if
confirm that.
sidewalks were in there, are you satisfied with the number and what's been put in there, Steve, that would be adequate?
Yeah, those are typical contractor numbers. I didn't have a concern with the estimate that they provided.
Okay, you answer the question?
No, I don't,
No, I just wanna make sure that we're covered for the future if we do.
yeah.
I mean, it is outside the village, technically.
Yeah.
Um,
At this time, anyway.
At this time, right.
It will evolve.
And they have a clause in there that it could be sidewalks in the future, which is what we asked for.
Okay, I'm fine.
Good, thank you. With regard to the letter, there's really nothing to speak of with respect to the plans. The plans are almost perfect. I have a couple of notes that I have to add that Steve had suggested. There are items in here with respect to operation and maintenance agreements that have to be dealt with. The sewage planning module has to be completed. So with regard to waivers, at preliminary approval, there were 3 of the 5 waivers that were granted. The 4th one was the one we just discussed, so I believe that you would have to vote on the approval of that waiver with respect to the road improvements. And the last one had to do with, what, Steve? Was it with the street?
Most streetlights.
We also discussed streetlights. And I believe that the conclusion was we didn't want streetlights, but we would put post lights at the end of the driveways. And I have amended the plan to show certain lots with those post lights. Instead of every one, as you can see, to the right of the plan, the driveways are kind of stacked right next to each other because of the flag lots. So rather than having 3 lights right next to each other, I decided to spread them out. And I chose to put, lot 1 is the main estate lot, and that currently has 2 driveways on it. So I have a post light at each of those 2 existing driveways. They're spread out. I have one on the driveway to the left of it and one to the driveway on the right of it, so that those lights would be spread across the frontage of the lots. They're positioned so that they'll be out of the way if someday the sidewalk goes through. It'll provide some light, but not too much light with respect to being a nuisance to the neighbors.
Right, because we do have a lighting ordinance where it can't shine more than a certain amount of feet off of the property.
That is correct.
Just wanna make sure that that doesn't become an issue, because a neighbor across the street ever builds a house, you could have an issue.
That's correct. And these lights would have dusk to dawn,
Yep.
photo cells on them.
Okay.
And there's notes on the plan for that, for their maintenance as well. All per your comments and Steve's from the previous. So that would be the second waiver item, I suppose, that you would hopefully be
You're
able to act
proposing
on.
4 lights
Yes,
across the frontage of the property. So 4 of the driveways will have a light, 3 of the driveways won't have a specific light, but they'll be in between the other driveways. That's what they're proposing.
What's the distance? Is it enough?
Well, the driveway lampposts don't do much beyond the radius of, the immediate
Right.
vicinity of where they are, so.
Identifying the driveway is really what they're intended to do.
Right, but we're saying here that what they're proposing is not to do one at every driveway.
Right.
So it'll define sort of the frontage of, the overall frontage of the property, because you'll see those lights from a distance, but it's not gonna light up. What they're proposing is not a specific light at each driveway.
If you have 3 driveways stacked up there, I don't know how you're gonna put a light in
Well,
each one.
right, where, on the right-hand side, you have one driveway to
Right.
near the property boundary, then you have the next 2 are side by side. But those side by side driveways, you're not proposing a light at. Correct, you have one at the outside driveway, and then the next one would be
Right.
the state lot.
Right, interior of the far left and the interior of the far right. And then the two in the center.
Similar to the others. You generally, when we do driveway lamp posts, you do them at each driveway.
I know. I'm only concerned that you're not gonna have identification for
Right.
those two driveways.
So we nat-
Could there be one lamp post put for the two driveways somehow? Could that be arranged?
Well, sure, it would just be one of the lot's responsibility,
Right.
but you could put it in between the two driveways.
That was gonna be my next question to ask you.
Yeah, there's enough, I mean, that's a 20-foot wide strip. And the
There's
driveway-
space to put it, there was a little more logic to my placement than that too. The lots I chose not to show the post lights are the flag lots. Because the power will have to be run all the way from the house up to the street. Significantly longer run and cost for getting power to the lights. So that was one of my motivations to do them where I put them.
Right, I understand that. And realistically, in today's society, somebody could use solar.
It's
A
true.
solar lamp post down the road to identify that. I don't have it, I really don't have
I
an
don't,
issue. I don't have an issue.
With what they have proposed,
Yeah.
the four that they
Yep.
proposed.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Yep.
I just thought you were doing it to try and light up or indicate the entrance. And you can do that with solar, with some kind of solar thing on the flag lots that are long.
Right.
Okay, we can move on.
Other than that, the letter talks about minor things, a legal description for the right-of-way easement. Of course, we'll comply with that. Now that I know what our final proposal will be for road frontage improvements, which is just the driveways, I can now go to PennDOT for the minimum use driveway permits. That's a comment in here as well. Now that things are tied down with respect to improvements and any drainage, we will be submitting to the Conservation District for the MPDES permit. The nice thing about the